Hi guys, Maikeru here. Oh, wait, I mean...
Hi guys, Raziel here.
Today we have a 1-99/120 quick guide for Necromancy. The skill literally comes out tomorrow, and there is so much information available that I could craft a whole journey all the way to 200 mil for me racing personally. So instead of me just making a 1-120 guide for myself, I thought I'd share it for you guys as well. So let's get right into it. When it comes to gear recommendations, as you can see on screen, there is a screenshot of what I'm going to be using on release as soon as I start killing stuff with Necromancy. Obviously, the main hand and the offhand will be the crafted weapons that you get from Necromancy itself. Ghost Hunter and the Salve Amulet E are absolutely amazing, and they're the biggest DPS increase that you're ever going to get, especially early game, for any type of killing of monsters. The Ghost Hunter helm and backpack provide a 6% damage increase, and if you don't have augmentable gear with perks, then you could even use the body and or legs for a 10% damage increase. It's also hybrid armor, so it takes away none of your necromancy bonuses. The Salve Amulet gives a 20% damage increase and a 20% accuracy bonus, which is just crazy for Necromancy, because if you don't have 100% accuracy, you lose damage. So you want to be 100% accurate everywhere, and the Salve Amulet allows you to do this. These are probably the most key thing to this whole guide: Ghost Hunter and Salve Amulet. They are pretty much needed in order to get efficient XP. You can do it without them, but you'll be getting significantly less experience an hour. I also have a hybrid ring, gloves, and boots. I wouldn't recommend Cinderbanes for your gloves because poison is going to take away your XP now. With the whole XP, HP rebalance stuff, poison won't count as your damage, and it will take away the amount of damage you actually deal to the mob. This means something like a Death Touch Bracelet is going to be better. Yes, you do reflect damage back at the attacker, but they're only going to be hitting you for like 1s and 2s. You're not going to reflect anything back, so it'll be fine at the early game. Later on, you're going to change it with the crafted tier 70 power armor anyway. It's good until then. The reason why I have the Animacorus Liske top and bottoms is because it's augmentable. I have good perks on it, which is the only way you can get perks pre-70. You can use accuracy for this as well. It's a little bit cheaper than Sliske. If you don't have any hybrid armor or you can't be bothered with perks or whatever, you can just use the crafted armor. It is just tank armor until level 70, and then you can turn it into power armor. I'll be swapping away from the hybrid armor at level 70 and going into that power tier 70 necro armor at that point anyway. Obviously, you're going to want to upgrade your necro weapons every 10 tiers. The accuracy and damage is very, very key. Any type of DPS pocket slot is good, so the Wen book, the Full book, Armadil, Zami, Sara, Illuminated God books, and even a Grimoire at the late game. All of those will be great. And then lastly, auras like Marjora are really good for a DPS increase. In addition to the Marj aura, there are some good alternatives such as things like Inspiration, Invigorated, Dark Magic, stuff like that that increase your DPS can be helpful. There is no accuracy or Zerk auras for Necromancy. And then obviously all of this will be alongside your normal overloads, and you would use aggression pots and whatever you have at your disposal to increase your DPS. There is a talent tree for Necromancy. It is quite confusing, and you cannot refund your points for your talent tree. While progressing through, you gain points when you get combat XP from killing monsters. You will eventually get this whole talent tree unlocked, but this is my recommendation of the order that you should unlock your talents while progressing through the tree. This will help maximize the amount of AoE you have for AoE and down all of the mobs while training up to then get the other points afterwards. So once you put your 10th point in, I would then just fill in the rest whatever order you want. The main ones is that 1 to 10. Then when it comes to the leveling process, we obviously have the tutorial. The tutorial teaches you a bunch of different things about rituals and necromancy in general. It's really helpful. I wouldn't spacebar it if I was you. It does teach you a lot. And this will be what you're doing from levels 1 to 5. From levels 5 to 15, I would recommend you doing the rituals for the second talent tree tier unlock, which requires 50 souls. This is not going to take very long at all. It's about 13 rituals for 50 souls if you do the highest tier bone. From levels 15 to 34, I would continue doing rituals until you get the third talent tree tier unlock. I know this unlocks at 40 and you'll get it unlocked at 34, but the rituals don't scale in XP, so you might as well get them done earlier rather than later. This requires 400 souls total, which is an extra 350. That's around just under 90 rituals of the highest tier bone. Then it comes to killing monsters. At levels 35 to 50, I would do Banshees either in the Slayer Tower, but I reckon the Slayer Tower will be pretty packed on release, so you may want to go to a personal Slayer dungeon and maybe even grab these souls in advance so that you're not competing against other people. Remember your Slayer helm on the Anachronia stand or your earmuffs so they don't drain your stats. A lot of monsters have been buffed in HP for the early and mid game. Banshees are one of them. They now have 4,350 HP and they give 217.5 experience each. They literally only have 27 defense, so you have 100% accuracy so easily with the tier 30 weapons. They also attack with melee, so they are easy to AoE. And again, they are susceptible to Salve Amulet E and Ghost Hunter, which will be a pattern throughout this video. These monsters are chosen with that in mind, so you deal more damage and you're more accurate to all of them. From levels 50 to 60, you want to do Anku either in the Stronghold of Security or your player-owned Slayer dungeon again. On release, all of these places are probably going to be absolutely jam-packed, so I have got the souls for all of them in my personal Slayer dungeon personally. These have 7,250 health, they will be 362.5 XP each, which is a nice step up from Banshees. They have 44 defense though, which is why we want that tier 50 weapon and that Salve Amulet to make sure we're accurate against them. They attack with melee, so they crowd around you, you can AoE them down easily, especially as it seems like a lot of the Necromancy AoE abilities are fairly close range. Melee mobs are definitely the best. Then from levels 60 to 63, we now have greater rituals unlocked. This is where you're going to want to do the ritual for the 4th talent tree tier unlock, which is 2,000 souls total. We can now start using glyphs that increase our speed and output of rituals. Those are those little things that you draw on the floor. If you paid attention in the tutorial, you'll know what they are anyway. You're going to want to rock the speed 1 and multiply 1 glyphs. This way you'll be doing your rituals faster and getting more out of them, aka more souls. I'll be estimating around 200 rituals needed if using the highest tier bone, although I could see it going as low as 150 rituals with the multiply glyph. Once you've done those rituals, you should be around level 63 and you want to kill Shadow Warriors under the Legends Guild or in a personal Slayer dungeon. If you can't access the Legends Guild for whatever reason, I would just continue with Anku. They're only slightly worse. As you can see, these have a little bit more HP than Anku and they give 390 XP each. They also have 3 more defense levels and they are 47 defense. These are just a small upgrade over the Ankus and every little bit helps in terms of experience an hour. So it's definitely worth swapping to these for a little bit. From levels 66 to 70, I would do the rituals for the 5th talent tree tier unlock. This requires 8,500 souls, which is a lot more than the previous one. The reason why I waited to 66 to do these rituals instead of doing them all at once is because we now have the multiply 2 glyph unlocked. Using multiply 2, you're going to be getting even more output from all of these rituals, which should help heavily. I'm estimating around 810 rituals needed if doing the highest tier bone, but with the multiply glyph it could take that down to around 600, which is why that multiply glyph is so useful. The reason why we want 8,500 souls is, again, it's better to do all the rituals early rather than later, and this is going to unlock up to the tier 80 talent tree stuff, so that's going to be great, a really good investment earlier rather than later. If it doesn't quite get you to level 70, you can go back to Shadow Warriors just to finish off to level 70. Once you're level 70, you have an optional route to go and get a Kiln cape for your Necromancy Zuck cape if you have an Igneous Stone. All you got to do is do the Kiln with mostly Necromancy, and then you add an Igneous Stone that you already have to your Necromancy Kiln cape and it will become a Zuck cape. The Zuck cape spec is probably going to be super strong, so I would recommend doing this if you can. You're going to want a hybrid so you do less of the Kiln with Necromancy. Hybriding with the tier 70 gear means that you shouldn't struggle too much, especially if you're quad breeding. Obviously, that's quite sweaty. Even if you're just, 2 styles or 3 styles, it's going to help a lot. Death Touch darts do count as range when hybriding, and I would probably use them on the hard stuff to kill. At least for Huracan and maybe for Jads. Thanks to PvME, there is this efficient way of doing the Kiln, whether you are doing it with 2 styles, 3 styles, or 4 styles. It's telling you what waves to kill with different styles. Do remember though, if you do use Death Touch darts, that will count as range as your style, so do make sure you're following this order, otherwise it can mess up a little bit in, actually receiving the Necro cape. You just need to make sure you've done most waves while camping Necro, so you do those as easy waves and the harder waves with your better gear. I'll leave a link to PvME's Discord in the description. They are super useful and they're going to be so good moving forward with Necromancy, I'm sure. So if you want to learn more about Necromancy and what abilities and, rotations and action bar setups and stuff are going to be good, they're probably going to have all of that soon enough in that Discord. So check that out in the description on your journey of Necromancy, and I'm sure it will help you. Moving on to the training after the Kiln. We want to do levels 70 to 90 at Bound Skeletons in Fort Free Crypt or your Personal Slayer dungeon. The Crypt only seems to have about 4 skeletons that you can kill, so the Personal Slayer dungeon is an XP increase as well because there's 5 and they spawn faster and they're closer together. So I would recommend these in a Personal Slayer dungeon for sure. Do remember, because this is level 70 to 90, there'll be a lot of unlocked quests and you'll have to upgrade to tier 80 in the middle of camping these. Don't forget to upgrade your stuff and do your quests because they can be important. These now have 12,000 health, which is pretty awesome. 600 XP is given every kill. They have 65 defense, so you'll have very, very high accuracy with tier 70 weapons and your salve amulet and everything, and it will soon be 100% on this grind. Again, it is a melee attacker, so it's easy peasy to AoE, and it's susceptible to the salve amulet, but it is not susceptible to Ghost Hunter. But now that we're level 70, we can use our power gear that we've made with Necromancy. And we can also augment our tier 70 power armor, and we get our helm, we get our gloves, we get our boots, so we can replace that Ghost Hunter if we wanted to. Then moving on to levels 90 plus, I wouldn't actually do these rituals if you're caring about XP. The rituals only unlock Split Soul, and Split Soul isn't really worth it if you're looking for XP. You would unlock powerful rituals, but you would need 35,000 souls total. Split Soul sadly does not give combat XP for its damage. It's going to work like poison, where that extra damage that you're dealing with your soul split isn't counted as your damage, so you get less XP for killing the monsters with it. This is only really good for bossing and not leveling. But if you really want the ability and you want to get that done while leveling and you don't care about the experience an hour, then go ahead and unlock this and do this at 90. But I would not do this if you're just looking for flat out experience, because I'm going to be skipping this personally. Other than rituals, obviously we're going to have to look at which is the best monster to kill once we have our tier 90 gear and weapons. There is a new trash run in ED3. There is a reset method that is the skeletons before the bridge. Thanks again to PvME for this one, and the link will be in the description once again, so you can take a look at a more detailed version. But the TLDR is you clear all the way up to the 3rd checkpoint. So you kill the Leviathan, go a little bit past him, and get to this part with the chest. The checkpoint you want is the temple entrance. Once you're here, you then just surge and bladed dive into the middle of the room. You will take quite a lot of damage with this method, but because there's a lot of AoE with Necromancy, you should be okay. You can take a couple of food to chomp on if needed. I would advise blue blubbers if you are going to use food because it doesn't take down your adren. As you can see, there are necromancers all around the arena. You do not kill these necromancers because they summon skeletons that you are killing. These skeletons that have been summoned are the things you're killing for XP, as they have a decent amount of HP and there's a lot of them. As you can see, I'm completely surrounded by them so I can AoE them down nicely. Once all the skeletons are dead, you just simply teleport away. You can go towards retreat to rebank if you need to, or you can use the Shadow Reef teleport tabs, which are purchased with Dungeoneering tokens. And that'll save you about 3 seconds a run if you just surge in and dive into the portal. You'll just teleport straight outside instead. and you just re-enter, continue where you left off, use the chest to teleport to option 3, and then do the same thing. Surge and Bladed Dive into the middle, and you can just kill these skeletons over and over and over again. They will always be summoned as long as you keep those necromancers alive and you do not kill them. You can only do this solo after the HP update because your damage is how much XP you get. So if other people are damaging, you're going to get less XP. The estimated experience an hour is around 1 mil, but if you're super optimal, you can push around up 1.3 mil, which is kind of insane. So this probably will be one of the best methods, if not the best method, on release. This also has zero competition, it's completely instanced, it's in your instance of ED3, so it's solid in that regards as well. And they are, again, susceptible to Salve Amulet E and Ghost Hunter. I wasn't even using Salve Amulet in the footage, and I was still doing okay. I was dealing a little bit less damage not having the Salve Amulet, so that will make HP management even better. Alongside Necro's AoE just being very strong. And we thought ED3 was going to be done with. Looks like it's going to be meta again. But at least this time it's not completely broken, and it's not trio making the XP rates go even higher, etc. So at least it's a little bit more balanced ED3, but still kind of nuts. Alternatively, at levels 90 plus, you could do Risen Ghosts in Fort for Free Crypt or Personal Slayer Dungeon. These have 30,000 health, so they are very, very tanky, which is really good for the way the new XP works, and they give 1,500 XP each. You'll have 100% accuracy on these with tier 90 weapons and the Salve Amulet E, as they only have 70 defense. The only downside is they attack with magic, which makes them much harder to AoE. But these are definitely potentially very, very good, and much easier and more chilled than something like ED3 or Armoured Phantoms, which is our next one. They are very, very hard to kill if you're doing Armoured Phantoms in a Personal Slayer dungeon, but they are very rewarding. They give a crazy amount of experience each at 2,750, and you will have 100% accuracy on them as long as you're using Elder Overloads and a tier 99 prayer. They do attack with melee, they are easy to AoE, and there are ways to have it attack you only one at a time, and you can AoE down like 3 or 4, either inside the crypt or in a Personal Slayer dungeon. But again, they are very, very annoying and 100% lean forward. So unless you're really caring about XP and you want to really try hard, then I'd probably skip these. These are for, you know, maybe the racers like myself. And the last one that I think is a very good honourable mention, maybe not on release, but in general, are Abyssal Savages in the Wilderness. You can kill like 10 of these at once. They are very, very populated right in the north of the Wilderness. Very close to the Chaos Elemental, there is a whole line of these bad boys. You can kill so many per hour that they work out to be really, really good XP. They're also susceptible to Demon Slayer, perk, and gear, and they suffer from the wildy damage buff of your puzzle box, which is 9%. So you don't have salve, but you do have other boosts. And they attack with melee, they're easy to AoE, they're low defense, high HP, and they are very, very good. The issue is, you're not going to get a spot on release. They are going to be crowded, and it's going to be pretty hard to, you know, find a spot there without getting crashed. So they are far worse than a Personal Slayer dungeon because you only have 5 of them there versus like the 10 in the Wilderness. This is definitely really, really good once the hype calms down, though. And that is it. That is my guides on 1 to 99/120 Necro, and hopefully you enjoyed. Good luck with your Necromancy gains. I'll be streaming 24/7. So if you want to check out what I'm up to and how my gains are going with this literal method that I've shown you guys, then feel free to tune into my Twitch, which will be in the description of this video. I am not stopping my stream until 200 mil Necromancy. I'm doing a subathon all the way until 200 mil. And as always, if you made it this far into the video, you're an absolute legend. Give the video a like if it did help you. Subscribe if you're new for loads of future content all related to Runescape 3. And until next time, see ya.